welcome everybody back to another exciting episode of Body Slam the Competition. We're great to be here this week and glad everybody back listening to us. Mike, it's been a great long week here for wrestling. A lot of good stuff happened this week, and we got a lot to talk about.
We sure do, Chris.
And I think to go ahead and start the show off here, we are going to fall back to some memorable times to our very first interview we ever had here on the show, because joining us here again tonight as our very first interview we ever had is Mr. Herb Simmons, the promoter for SICW. Herb, how you doing today, man?
Fine, Chris and Mike. I appreciate the opportunity to come back on. You guys do a great job with your show, and it's another way that you're helping to keep the business alive with what you guys do.
Well, thank you very much. We'd like to have you on any time, Herb, so no problem at all. I understand you've got quite a few things coming up here soon, including a tournament that you currently have going on, I believe, and the Bruiser Brody Memorial, as well as the 58th Anniversary of Wrestling at the Chase. Can you tell us more about all that?
Yeah, as you know, SICW is the old school wrestling, and we patting ourselves after the way it was in St. Louis when it started on television back in 1959, which is 58 years ago. And so because of the old school style that we do, we just finished up our 320th episode of our local television show that we do every week. And we're leading up to the big, as you said, the Bruiser Brody Memorial and that 58th year celebration, which will be held May the 20th. Here in East Carondelet, Illinois, and that's something we do every year. And Barbara Goodish, the widow of Bruiser Brody, has agreed to come in and join us again this year, and she'll present the winner of the Bruiser Brody Battle Royal, the big trophy cup that we have, and then this year we're proud and honored to say that we've got another young lady that's joining us. Probably one of the all-time greatest in the business. Lou Thesz's widow, Charlie Thez, will be joining us to talk about what it was like being married to the greatest wrestler of all times.
Oh, nice. Now, the tournament you got going on now, I haven't been able to keep up with a whole lot. Last I seen, I thought that Curtis Wilde was the champion there for you guys, and Flash Flanagan was there taking him on. How has that progressed from there? What's the tournament about going on here?
Well, what happened is my champion, Ron Powers, who'd been with us for many, many years and worked all over for all the big federations, ended up retiring, so that kind of vacated the title spot for us. So we actually reached out to some of our legends that have come in and helped us, Terry Funk and Jerry Briscoe and Jimmy Hart, and said, hey, in a case like this, what would you guys do? And they said, just do a title tournament. So we started off with a 16-man tournament, and so the title is vacated right now. And we went through last month. We had this month we had the quarterfinals, and had a little debacle take place there. We had Flash Flanagan and Curtis Wilde was in the quarterfinals, but we got another big guy, 325-pound cowboy Mark Houston, decided he wanted to take things in his own hands, and he came out and laid both of them out. So we're kind of in a dilemma now because Wilde didn't lose and Flanagan didn't lose, so we're waiting for them both to get medically cleared because he laid them out pretty good with the chair, and so we got to make a decision. Larry Matisek and I will determine how we're going to straighten that out. But our next match for our semifinals is actually April the 15th here in East Carondelet, and the one semifinal match is the Ironman Ken Casa, who's a former SICW champion, taking on the icon Chris Hargis, who is in the Travis Cook stables. So we've got a good card lined up for April, but again, I just got to figure out how we're going to get what we're going to do with the Flash Flanagan and Curtis Wilde. We talked about maybe doing a three-way if they get cleared in time for April, and then put Houston in there with Wilde and Flanagan, and then see who gets eliminated that way.
Well, triple threat matches are always something interesting to watch.
Well, and I'm not a big fan of triple threats because, like I said, I'm from old school, and you never had an old school triple threat match back in the day. But this is 2017, so you have to be able to adjust to what's going on today. And but it's wrestling, so you always got to have a backup plan. So we'll get out of it somehow.
Well, it does seem like every week that they come on television, there is somebody in a triple threat or a full fatal four-way, or you don't see very many of the just one-on-one stuff going on anymore. So I think occasionally something like that's okay to do, especially for someone who's into the old style of wrestling a lot. You're right, you didn't see a whole lot of those back in the past, but occasionally it has something like that. It's okay to do.
Well, and you got to have a purpose for it. Nowadays, they just do it to be doing it. Sometimes they're heavy in the locker room, or somebody shows up that wasn't supposed to, or they want to try somebody out new, so they throw them out there and that. And we try not to do that. We've got a good locker room. It's made up of a bunch of professionals and guys that know how to lace their boots up and know how to go out there and give it 110%. And again, that's we have right now we have the only locally produced television show here in the St. Louis market. And like I said, this week was our, I think, 320th episode, which is unheard of in the independent circuit for to have that many episodes in a can. And we got some major sponsors that help us out with that, so that's why we're fortunate. But then again, it takes the combination of a good talent and then of course great fans to have a great promotion, and that's kind of why we raise the bar when it comes to SICW.
Now, Mike, do you think we'll ever reach 320 episodes here?
Hey, as long as we keep showing up, Chris, anything's possible. Now, whether or not anybody will be around to listen to us at episode 320 plus, well, that's going to be up to the listeners.
Oh yeah, well, and again, I tell you, I hear people talking all the time that they listen to your program, and you've had some interesting guests on, and that's what it's all about. You got to get the word out there, and sell your product is what you got to do. Get it out there, and if they enjoy it, they'll come back, and that's what I tell them. The old saying, "If you build it, they come," is true, because our little, we have standing room only in our promotion. Last Saturday night, we had to open the doors on the place, and it's been that way for a long time now. So they come from all over to see the good show. So and we're not an easy location to get to. We're kind of hidden in the banks of the Mississippi River where we're at. But if you got a good product, they'll come to it.
Well, see, I think Chris can blame it all on me, because a few months back I went to an independent show with a gentleman that we had interviewed earlier, and they put me on their televised show there locally commentating, and I think people saw me on TV and they got scared. Now they won't let their kids listen anymore.
Oh, wow.
Now, Herb, you might know who he's talking
they got
about.
That face for radio.
The face for radio. Herb, you might know who he's talking about. Do you remember Dirty Rhodes?
Oh, yes.
Now,
where's his show at?
The show that I went to was in a little town called Princeton, West Virginia, and they have a local deal with the local CW network on there. I think they broadcast their shows on Saturday nights at 11 o'clock or midnight or something like that. And even then, people saw me. Old women fainted. It was horrible. It was just. They called me and said, "You can't ever be on TV again. You've done scared the children. People are afraid to turn their lights off to go to sleep." It was horrible.
Well, we lucked out because we got the 12 o'clock Sunday afternoon time slot it's on actually Charter Spectrum Cable, and it's in about 750,000 households on the Missouri and Illinois side. But then also we've been on the Fight TV app now, where people can get it around the world on their smartphones and things like that. So we get a lot of good response back from that. Yeah. So if you ever run it's on Fight TV, FITE TV app, and you just go on and download the app, and it's free, and they've got tons and tons of wrestling, MMWA stuff on there, boxing. It's a pretty good thing.
And that is one of the perks of this modern day. Social media and the internet have made it so much easier for different products to be consumed by everybody. it's a lot easier to get yourself out there.
Exactly, and I keep thinking, it's kind of like I tell people all the time. It's this whole social media thing. I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out of that, because it's like Facebook. Sooner or later, somebody's going to say, "Hey, why are we giving this away free? We're going to start charging for it," and then you're going to see an instant everybody put their Facebook accounts to bed. Because 6-7 years ago I didn't know anything about social media, and now they call me the social media guru for the wrestling stuff.
Well, yeah. When those companies can stop making money from advertisements, when it's going to happen.
Right. Exactly. Well, and that's what I tell people all the time. They, Vince McMahon don't make money on wrestling. He makes money on his marketing and the movies and the dolls and the games, and that's what he's doing.
The network.
And I can't knock him. It works. Yeah.
I hope not all the movies, because I've seen a few of them, and they're not all so great.
No, they're not. But he hasn't lost any money on them, I can tell you, because if he was losing money on them, unless he gets in that spot where he's got to have a write-off, and that's where some of these guys do. They wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I want to be in the wrestling business," so they got a little money to spend, and then all of a sudden they got some accountant telling them, "Yeah, you need to show a loss for the next couple of years." So what better way to do that but in the wrestling business?
Well, there you go.
And when you guys talking about social media and everything, the way it's going these days, or even if you're an organization out there that doesn't have the ability to get on TV weekly, with the thing of YouTube being out there, you can make your own YouTube channel and show yourself weekly on YouTube at that point, and have people tune in that way to watch. I mean, it's such a broad spectrum of things to do out there with social media these days.
Well, the only problem you got with that is our show is it's nowhere near what I would call A-grade quality. It's good. I mean, if you guys get a chance, check it out. But you got to have some. Why do it if you're not going to get a few dollars on it from somehow? And I know on YouTube, some of those channels you can get a few pennies here or there for it, but by the time you produced it, and I know what it costs me to produce our show on a monthly basis. And again, if you want to do it, that's why you got to go out there and get you some sponsors to help offset that cost a little bit. So, but it all depends on how much you want to put into it.
I think the thing with YouTube is kind of similar to being on television in a way as far as sponsorship goes, because if you really want to make money off of it on YouTube, you just can't go with the AdSense things they have on there. You have to get people to want you to sponsor their product on there as well, maybe talk about their product or put commercials for it on there.
Sure.
And things like that. But then again, you can't really get much of that done until you show you got the followers there and everything. So it's a slow-going thing when it comes to that. But it's just one more way out there for people, like the Fight app and such.
Yeah, and again, I think the Fight app is really caught on. I hear a lot of people talking about that, and I mean, I've got people all over in California, down in Florida, that a couple of months ago I had some problems. Fight app wasn't getting the show on when they said they were going to, and I had actually people texting me and telling me, "Hey, your show's not on today," and I said, "Well, where you at?" And I said, "Okay," and but they had some technical difficulties, but they got it worked out. So it just tells me there are people around the country that's watching it,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. How's Mr. Madisick doing these days?
He's doing good. We last Saturday night was his first night back behind the microphone, because we started doing the live play-by-play now. Before we were doing post-editing of our shows, and I wanted to get him back in the saddle, so he got behind the mic last Saturday night for the first time in about 3 years, and so I think that's really kind of rejuvenated him a little bit, because he's been sick for about 2.5, 3 years now, and but his mind's still great. He just finished up his 5th book. Hopefully we're going to get that to the publisher soon, and see what it does, and see if it's as good as the other ones he's written, All
right. Well, that's definitely good to hear and everything. Well, Herbert, we want to go ahead and thank you for coming on the show with us tonight and telling us about all the stuff going on. We got quite a few more segments to get through here tonight before we're off there and all. But if you got anything else you'd like to get out there with us tonight for people to hear, just let us know. And we can talk about that for a moment as well. Is there anything else that you have coming up that you want to get out there?
No, like I said, the big thing is April the 15th is our big show. We got some spot shows. We help, our big thing is we help fire departments in them with their fundraisers. We're in Millstadt, Illinois on April the 29th. Later in the year, we're in Kaysville, Illinois. And then towards the end of the year, November, we're in Swansea, Illinois. So it's been a pretty busy year so far, and we got quite a few shows booked the rest of the year. But the big one is that May 20th, the Bruiser Brody Memorial and the Wrestling at the Chase. And they can check us out at SICW.org. Our scheduling's on there, and if anybody's in the area and wants to check it out, we got some of the old classic wrestling photos posted up on there. They can take a look at them and just see what SICW is all about. We just started our 43rd year, so we're kind of proud of that.
All right, well, great. Well, once again, thanks for coming back on with us and talking wrestling. Let us know how SICW is going. Really appreciate it. I hope everybody out there that's listening does take the time to follow you guys and see what's going on there, especially on the Fight app. Like you said, a lot of great stuff on there. And then we'll hopefully have you on again one day soon. Tell us about, another update of what's you got going on and everything, and we'll go from there.
Sure, appreciate it. Good luck, guys. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for calling in tonight. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Herb.
All right, Mike. So I guess we got here, moving on to next segment here, we got the weekly events that happening here, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. We won't go over a lot of the smaller ones if you don't want to this week. I know you didn't get a chance to watch them, or usually I didn't get a chance to watch them this week either, except for NXT. And I just had one thing of interest to talk about on that is also. But what you think of Raw this week? I mean, anything stand out most to you that you want to talk about to start off with?
Well, I want to back up for just a second, and I just want to go and say, if you don't go and download that Fight app tomorrow or tonight, you're going to miss out. Because it just goes to show that there's no excuse for you to miss a good, classic, old-school type wrestling.
I don't know if you looked recently. I mean, he when Herb mentioned some of the guys he had on there, Ron Powers, Curtis Wilde, Flash Flanagan, people of that nature. He's had a lot of good names on there wrestling with him in the last few years. He has had some exciting things going on. So I mean, if he has some matches on YouTube as well, some of their stuff as well for people to check out. Like I mentioned earlier, that's why I brought that up. Because if you don't have the ability to be on Fight TV or on a major television station, YouTube's got that ability as well. There's quite a few good, great matches they've had over the years for display out there for people to see what they're missing out on. And then, of course, catch them weekly on there.
Indeed. But moving on to Monday Night Raw. Okay, this is the biggest thing that just absolutely perturbed me this week, and that is the Dana Brooke-Charlotte match. Because last week, or the week before this past week, I should say, Dana Brooke basically comes out and gets jobbed. And to me, it makes no
match, right?
sense to... Yeah. She comes out and she basically jobs to the flying forehead, and then the greatest women's wrestler of a generation is in there, and you have this match. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I'm sure Dana Brooks will appreciate you calling her the greatest generation wrestler of her time.
That's not who I'm talking about.
Oh, you were talking about Charlotte Flair, weren't you? My bad.
Yeah, because I'm wearing the T-shirt tonight, the official NXT. If you're going to do it with Flair.
Do you remember when I asked you several weeks ago, because of the way it was working out between them two, the way she kept putting her down and the looks that Dana Brooke was giving her, I mentioned that I wondered were they going to put her or Nia Jax in that match. And we talked about it last week as well, and how you said you hoped that it didn't happen either way because of it just be an anchor in the match, whoever it was.
Right.
I thought for a little bit, just for a little bit, that they were going to go ahead and possibly throw Dana Brooke in that match from the way they acted. And they put her in a match against Charlotte on Monday Night Raw. And I thought, man, this is going to lead to her getting thrown in that match in a couple of weeks now because they're trying to build up some small rivalry between the two, even though it's not even a real rivalry. I don't even think it's close enough to being a rivalry. I don't think that Dana Brooke has the she's not been in there long enough to be up there at that status right now to be in a match, in a main event match with Charlotte. She's more of the level of being in that well, I don't know. Who do they have on the wall that she would be there, that should be more her level right now, honestly?
Well, honestly, we really don't we really don't know what Dana can do because
and then
the
the
majority of her
division
time,
on Raw is not that big, really. I mean, as far as
not only that, but the majority of her time in the women's division on Raw has been spent on the outside cheering Charlotte on. She hasn't had a lot of in-ring exposure. On Monday Night Raw.
It'd be nice to see them kind of start her off a little bit slower. I mean, it's nice to have them maybe one time in a match with her for like a grudge match, but don't make no big feud with it. Just take a step back with her,
right.
Bring her, get some other people up, and then maybe go back after her later on.
This is one of those instances where I really miss KJ, Chris, because you know what he'd be saying right now? The only place that Dana Brooke belongs is on top of a plate of spaghetti because she's nothing but a blonde meatball. That's exactly what he would say. KJ, I miss you. Right.
You know he's listening out there. He's listening. He's going, man, I wish I was still on the show. I wish I hadn't quit the show. Maybe I'll call in tonight. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Who knows with KJ?
No, he's asleep.
I'm sure he is at this point since he's not doing this anymore. But, you know, he before he on one of his last shows he was with us, you know, he did mention that he thought of any of the women that would have been in that match, as if they did a fatal four-way, it would be Nia Jax. And sure enough, after Monday night, it turns out to be Nia Jax going to be in that match after all.
No, so, they found the biggest anchor they could, and they threw it on the match.
I've read a couple different things about this so far. One of them was that Bayley will retain the title, and this will be an even bigger push for her as being a solid women's wrestler on the roster and a solid champion, defending off three other people to keep her belt, including a heel turn by Sasha Banks at WrestleMania, supposedly turning and being very rough on Bayley and doing heel-like tactics to her. The other version was she would lose it and it would go probably to Sasha Banks or maybe even Nia Jax, not necessarily to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And that would make Bayley look even like the more bigger baby face than she was already, because she'll have all the fans on her side saying she was robbed, she was done wrong, Stephanie McMahon treated her poorly, she stacked the deck against her, and, you know, making her the ultimate baby face for the women's division.
Well, you know what? Just the thought of Nia Jax holding the women's title at this point gives me dry heaving.
I would rather see them do where Bayley keeps the belt and have, like I said, the boss turn on her at WrestleMania and lead that up into SummerSlam. The two of them
I would totally agree. And they need to do something different with Nia Jax. They need to get her a new outfit. They need to get her doing some cardio. They need to get her some, and, you know, hopefully she won't fall down on somebody.
They need somebody there that she can have a decent feud with, and I'm not sure who that's going to be.
I honestly, at this point, I don't know, because her in-ring work is not impressive.
It's not just that. I mean, it's just that they need somebody. It's like Braun Strowman. You know, they make him out to be the unstoppable beast that nobody can harm or hurt in any way, and he shakes things off really quick when they hit him with him, just like she does. You know, Bayley would kick her straight in the jaw and it looks like it hurt for a second. Like 2 seconds later, she's no-selling it and she's doing something, you know, hard clothesline to her again or something. I mean, there's no one else there that's her size that can compete with her to be believable. So I don't understand what they're doing, making her look so dominating. If she's so dominating on the roster, she should be the champion and nobody else should be able to beat her for the belt, if that's how you're going to portray her.
But she's not. The difference between Nia and Beef is night and day. Nia is big, yes, but that's about the extent of it. She isn't really intimidating. She's
to the women on the roster, she's intimidating, though.
No,
because she pushes them around with such ease, it seems like.
Well, true, but when you're in the ring against, Bayley that looks like Deb from Napoleon Dynamite, and Sasha Banks that literally looks like a flying forehead. I mean, yes, Charlotte is probably the only one that has the physicality to really wrestle Nia Jax. I mean, if we had an actual shoot match, Charlotte would eat her alive and spit her out. There's no doubt in my mind about it because she is the more athletic. She is stronger. I don't care how big Nia is. Charlotte is stronger. But you can't say the same about Beef. Beef could probably bend anybody on the roster in half except maybe the Big Show and Kane. But everybody else, he could probably just manhandle if he wanted to. Yeah, Big E's a strong guy, but he's not large enough. I mean, Beef could hold him off with one hand. And when I see Nia kip up, I'll shut up.
Do you think they'll go that route of her and Charlotte maybe facing each other since she's faced everybody else but Charlotte so far?
I mean, that seems to be the only logical progression of events for Nia Jax if they're going to continue to push her. I mean, I would push her, on and off a cliff, but that's just me.
So if that's the case, we got one problem with that then. Who's the baby face, who's the heel? They don't usually pit two heels against each other in a feud of any kind. Maybe occasionally in a match in some kind of a tournament, but not as an actual feud or something. So how would that work out?
Only time would tell. I kind of imagine probably a Nia Jax face turn because of who she is. And it would make sense since Charlotte's pushed Dana over the edge. Maybe it's going to be Charlotte getting the revenge, beating Dana down, and Nia coming to the rescue.
Something would have to happen at WrestleMania, I think, to spark that feud between the two of them if it was to happen, I think. That's all I can think of that would do it.
Maybe Dana's going to interject herself in this women's match and cost Charlotte the match, cost her the title. And then
there you go.
Charlotte, and then that'll go on to the beatdown, and then the Nia face turn.
Yeah. That could definitely pull some. That could definitely work there like that as well. Well, what about the opening segment of the show? You got Foley coming out there reading from the cue cards, or, index cards as he called them, talking about he regrets to inform everybody he made a bad decision last week. He's going to have to take a leave of absence, and then gets mad and throws him down and starts to really go off on everything. They cut his microphone on him just to have Stephanie come down there. I think the whole show Monday night was just a let's let Stephanie ruin everybody's life before WrestleMania show, except for the main event.
I think what should have happened there is after the SICW event the week before, that we all knew Mick was on the way out at that point. Even if you weren't smart, you already knew that Mick was on the way out. So why not just start the show off with Stephanie in the middle of the ring saying Mick Foley is no longer employed, blah, 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 blah. We're going to start the search for a new GM, blah, 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 and then be done with it. Why bring him back out for one last time when, to me, but, the WWE rarely ever does.
Yeah, I would have just as soon seen him just bow out gracefully and leave at that point, since what was done earlier. And of course, Triple H had the last word as he's on the way out the door with the sarcastic "Have a nice day." That would have been a fitting end right there with him saying what he wanted to say and leave, and then Triple H just kind of stare him down for a second like he's going to jump him, and then just say the "Have a nice day" thing to him as he goes out the door, and then that's it. He's not there no more at that point.
Right.
But I guess by doing what they did, though, it did kind of enable her to go ahead and have the show that they had that night and lead the way that it led there. It's just one more thing about the whole Sami Zayn thing with her. She really thinks Sami Zayn, like you, thinks Sami Zayn is like the bottom tier talent who doesn't bring a lot to the company. Although she did tell him he is a, athletic individual or something who, I forget her exact words about him, but all he got for his trouble for standing in for Mick Foley was another match with Samoa Joe. And if you want to call it a feud with Samoa Joe, you can, because to me a feud means you get a win in sometimes. And so far, Samoa Joe's knocked him out each week he's fought him so far.
You see, the problem with Sami Zayn is that he's bland. He's like white bread with nothing on it. I'm getting the stink eye over that.
I like Sami Zayn. I do. I mean, I told you what I've seen about him online before. There's been people who have said he looks like the cab driver they had the week before with that hat he's got on when he comes out there, with that little crazy skip dance he got going on. But I mean, he's definitely, if you put him with the right person, a point in case example, Kevin Owens, they had a great series of matches. He can have a great series of matches with people if you put him in the right scenario. Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman are not the two people you put him in with against. He just does not fit that mold. I'm kind of tired of the David and Goliath bit. They keep working with him. You can only do it so many times, and the first time was bad enough with Braun Strowman. Put him in there with somebody else.
Let me point this out, though. Almost anyone in the professional wrestling game can have great matches with someone. Sami Zayn can have great matches with certain people. However, Damian Sandow had great matches on the outside by himself.
That
That's
he
the
did.
difference.
I tell you what, you could take Sami Zayn and you could put him in a series with The Miz. You could take Sami Zayn, put him in a series with AJ Styles. You can take Sami Zayn, put him in a series with someone like a Seth Rollins or Finn Balor, because they are all similar builds and similar sizes with similar styles. They can put on some great matches and a great feud with each other. And that would propel him up to a better status than what he really gets these days. All he's getting right now is the Mick Foley pity party train, and that's pulling out of the station now. So I don't know what he's going to do with Mick Foley not being there to kind of back him and pump him up the whole time he's there to the people, because now he's got no one that he can really fight against. It's going to be interesting. Unless you're going to put him back in against Kevin Owens all over again and start that feud all over. And that's all I can see that he got to do.
And with Chris Jericho leaving, that is something that may actually happen.
I mean, it could be.
But I just don't get the whole hype. I mean, I know a lot of people like Sami Zayn. My wife being one of them. She thinks he's a great entertainer. But I just don't get it. I'm with the people. He looks like a cab driver.
That's what they said. They say it looked like a generic cab driver with the hat he wore down the ring all the time. I don't know. I don't like him. He's not a bad guy.
Christopher, we have a caller on the line. Do you see this?
I do. I can't say that I recognize the number altogether, but I do have an idea of where the area code is from. Let's see, Mr. Area Code 920.
What do we got over here?
You're on the air.
What's up, guys? It's Tim once again.
It's a hater.
It's a hater.
How's it going?
It's a hater. Are you going to call in and hate on Sami Zayn too? Is that what you called in for?
I called in just to talk to you guys because I felt bad for skipping a few weeks. But anyway, no, I think Sami Zayn is a very talented wrestler. But you're right though. Whoever said it, he looks like your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you can say what you want about skill and stuff, but he's just not believable. If you look at The Miz, people seem to forget that The Miz is not a small guy. He just looks small fitting next to John Cena,
But did you hear what I said a moment ago about him, though, Tim? Did you hear what I said about Sami Zayn a moment ago before you called in?
No.
I made mention that when it comes to Sami Zayn, there's no one really on the Raw roster right now that I can think of other than maybe Balor when he comes back or Seth Rollins when he's back and healthy that would really fit the mold with him to have a great series with. He's getting in these situations where it's like a David and Goliath feel with Strowman and Samoa Joe, with Samoa Joe being not as big as Strowman and a little bit more believable, but he's so dominant and brute force, that Sami Zayn don't match up with him. But if you took him and you put him against The Miz, or you put him against AJ Styles, or you put him against Seth Rollins or Finn Balor, he could have a great series of matches with them and propel himself up. He just doesn't have those type of feuds he can participate in right now, it seems like, and therefore he's not there. I mean, even if you broke apart Sheamus and Cesaro and had him fight Sheamus a few times, not Sheamus, but Cesaro a few times. But with the way that tag team's going, I don't see them breaking them up for singles anytime soon.
No.
I know exactly where Sami belongs. He needs to lose. He needs to lose about 7 pounds and go to 205 Live.
That would be good. That would be something to be good too.
This is my thing. You said that he could only have a good series with a few people, but every guy you mentioned can have a great series with anybody on the roster. You see what I'm saying?
I mean,
that's exactly what I said earlier.
I mean, look, you can't take AJ Styles and you can't take The Miz and put them against Braun Strowman and say they're going to have a good series with him.
I think AJ Styles could carry a paper bag.
Yeah, he carried James Ellsworth. What more do you want?
Yeah.
But he's not. But they're not going to be believable though. They're not going to be believable.
Yeah, well, neither was Rey Mysterio Jr. ever. But people still believe it. He was 160 pounds, and he beat the Big Show how many times? I mean, really? Yeah, that's not going to. That's not even. That can't happen.
Exactly, Tim. Rey Mysterio can't even ride half the rides at Disney World. He's not tall enough.
He's right. He's actually right.
Now, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, we already know they can go. We know that already from past experiences. So, but I mean, when it comes to Sami Zayn, I just wish they had someone there that he could really get in something good with, other than Kevin Owens. I mean, because the whole Kevin Owens thing is just them two. I mean, although they have great matches with each other, it's been done already, and recently too. So you just can't go back to it.
How about moving him to SmackDown? I mean,
that would be good.
Obviously, the Raw thing isn't working. And the fact is, you're right. Braun Strowman. I mean, no. I mean, somebody like it just doesn't make sense to put Sami Zayn against a guy like that. I agree with that totally.
Well,
it makes no sense.
We've talked about the shake-up coming soon, possibly. I could see him being a part of it. Why not? I mean, they might have moved 2 or 3 people from each one to the other brand. That's very possible. Or they could take a couple of people, like Mike is saying here, and move them to 205 Live. Look at Austin Aries going from NXT to 205 Live.
Yeah, Austin Aries is barely 200 pounds.
Who's the what's his name on NXT? Not NXT, but 205 Live, who came from NXT. Not Cedric Alexander.
Neville?
Oh God.
The former
Neville?
champion. No, the former champion.
Neville.
No, before Neville.
TJ Perkins?
No.
TJ Perkins, yeah.
Before Neville. Rich Swann, thank you.
Swann. Yeah, Rich Swann.
Rich Swann was on NXT for a while, and he got sent over to 205 Live to start it off.
You know what's funny? People don't realize that Rich Swann before the Cruiserweight tournament, I think it was him, either him or Cedric Alexander, was actually about 230 and still doing the same things.
Yep.
But they dropped down to that weight in order to get into the 205 thing. I remember when during the Cruiserweight Classic they talked about it was one of those guys. I think it might have been Cedric Alexander, who's one of the bigger dudes on the Raw in the 205 anyway.
Well, they could very easily move a few people to that area with no problem, and still make it good. They can even take some people and put them back on NXT, and it wouldn't be an insult because NXT does have some good stuff going on with some good wrestlers down there right now. Although this past week, and I'll go ahead and kind of jump to this for a second because there's only one thing about NXT that I want to talk about at all this week, and that was a 6-man tag match they had with Sanity versus No Way Jose, Ty Dillinger, and Roderick Strong. That was a very fun match to watch.
Go ahead.
If you didn't see it, Tim, make sure you do go in there and watch at least the last match. The 6-man tag match was really great. The rest of it,
I love all those guys. So I'm actually a big No Way Jose fan. I think that he's a guy that's going to stay in NXT forever, but I think he's a good hand for them. Yeah, that's what he is. I think he's really good.
The only other thing they had was a squash match for Asuka leading up to WrestleMania, or not WrestleMania, but the NXT Takeover Orlando, and they had 2 guys at the beginning that I just did not know of. I don't know who the 2 guys to begin with were, but the match was pretty good. And the guy who won, his finishing move was where he put a guy in a kind of a chicken wing behind him, but had him in a headlock for a DDT and dropped him down with a DDT.
Ooh,
kind of impressive looking.
That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
Honestly, I'm calling it now. Asuka loses on Saturday.
That's probably it's probably going to happen. It's getting time for her to get moved up anyway because they keep telling me there's no competition for her there. The question is, I'm assuming she's going to go to Raw. That's what I'm assuming, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, because let's face it. With Charlotte on Raw, Charlotte, in my opinion, is the best female other than her in WWE right now. So I mean, who else is there? Nobody from SmackDown's gonna be able to compete with her. It's gonna be squash matches. If you look at the way
you need her on Raw to have someone to compete with the ones that are there. Like me and Mike said earlier, Nia Jax has no one to really compete with her there, and she did have a match with Nia Jax and beat her. So they could put her against Nia Jax a little bit there, or even her and Charlotte Flair fighting each other for the first time. That would be something.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think that'd be a good one.
Now, as far as now is also in Raw, kind of moving forward in it. This is Stephanie McMahon. Let's ruin everybody's night that supported McFoley out the door night. She tried to screw Sheamus and Cesaro out of their title match at WrestleMania that Mick put them in. The match didn't last very long. It was a very short-lived match, it seemed like, with them kind of getting the win and still keeping their spot at WrestleMania after all, which is good. I kind of wanted to see that.
Well, yeah, they should. I mean, honestly, I'm a Cesaro fan. I'm not gonna lie. Cesaro is, in my opinion, such an underused talent for them, and they totally waste him. He could be so much more than what they do. But they have no faith in him. I don't know what it is.
I think it's that he can't talk. I think that's the problem with Cesaro is the mic skills.
Yeah, but I mean
that's why they don't promote him more than what they do, and it's a shame because in the ring he's an animal, he's a monster.
Yeah, well, I mean think about it. Asuka can't talk, Nakamura can't talk. I mean, God, who else? There's a whole lot of people that they shove in our throats that can't talk. I mean Nakamura and Asuka are special. I understand that. But, they can't talk. There's no title reign for them coming up. Not for Nakamura. Not at the big show. I guarantee you, it's not going to happen. They push guys that can't talk. They push guys that can't talk or wrestle.
Roman Reigns.
I think with Nakamura, it's just he's such a charisma about him in the ring that the people take to that he doesn't have to talk much. They just take to his in-ring ability and let that go from there. And Asuka is just such so dominating in the matches that she's in that the fans take to that and go. She did try to talk. She did try to talk on NXT this past week, and it was just I don't know what she was trying to say. I thought she was trying to say this was going to be Ember Moon's fate. But it sounded like she said this is going to be your face or something, or this is your place, or I'm not sure what she would say, to be honest with you. And they turned around and did a roundhouse kick to the girl she was fighting and about knocked her out.
I can't understand the words that come out of your mouth.
I mean, you do realize that I don't think she speaks a lick of English, so I mean she's doing the best she can.
I get it.
What's the name?
I
it'd be like us trying to cut a promo in Japan or Mexico. They'd be like, what? Trying to speak Japanese.
That kind of makes me mad a little bit, though. It does. It kind of makes because they said a while back, no one officially said it, but it was kind of hinted around and said that the reason why, like Mike said, Cesaro doesn't get any major pushes is because his lack of in-ring ability to speak. His mic skills there. They don't want to, but you're going to push somebody who can barely speak a lick of English with someone who can speak some English but doesn't have a great storytelling ability, I guess, when it comes to his mic skills, but puts on awesome matches, and you're going to bypass him for everything else.
I know, for guys, I completely agree with you on that, and it's ridiculous. They should. I mean, this is one of those back in the '80s things. Not everybody had to talk. Back in the '70s and '80s, you didn't have to be a great talker. If you were a great wrestler, you would get your due. But then but that doesn't matter anymore. It's all about who they can sell. Now, and that.
Well, it's definitely different time. Definitely a different time frame.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It's all about the media and things like that. I understand that. Which is why John Cena and The Miz are on every TV show known to man, because they're the two best talkers in WWE. In my opinion, The Miz is on fire right now. I've always been kind of a fan of his when he once he got away from really John Morrison. We started developing this character. I've really actually liked him for a while now. So,
The Miz is probably one of the best talkers in the industry, hands down.
Oh God,
he's one of the most believable guys on the mic that the WWE has had in a long time.
Well, right now he's actually bringing it real, though. I really think he feels that way, and I love it.
He's got so much off-topic stuff he's said he's got in trouble for before already. It's been crazy. It's like he really speaks his mind, but he can't get away with it like some of the others can. He's been there long. I don't want to say he's been there long enough, but he doesn't have the same pull as some of these guys have that do their own stuff like that.
And he's not, like he said, he was told, he wouldn't last 3 months. That was 10 years ago, kind of thing, I remember him saying that. I was like, he's got a point there, where nobody's ever had faith in him, ever.
Right. And
he's proven them all wrong. That's
right.
the great thing about it, is he's proven them all wrong.
But it's still funny though, because they don't give him the love he deserves. And flat out, he still doesn't get what he deserves. They always try to find somebody else that to basically be over him, and then he just ends up basically taking it, which is what he does. He takes the spotlight from people. I think it drives him nuts.
Well, speaking of people who can say what they won't get away with it, what do you guys think about the Triple H segment from Monday night when he comes out there and tries to explain what he did with Seth Rollins in the ring, and he issues the challenge for the non-sanctioned match? Tim, I think you were on last week for a minute, weren't you? Did you mention that same thing last week? They were going to play that angle?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I actually did watch it. My daughter's in town, and stuff. Her and mom are out to dinner right now, so that's why I'm able to call. But she did from Wisconsin, so I didn't actually watch a whole lot of wrestling this week. But I have been paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah, I remember you saying you thought they would do the whole hero bit, I believe. The whole bit of him just playing the hero bit and coming in with a hurt leg and all, and maybe get the win out of it or something. But we had mentioned several weeks before it had to be like a non-sanctioned match if he was still injured, or they might play that role of a non-sanctioned match or something if it came down to it. I believe they did it with somebody else in the past. I'm drawing a blank on who it was now, but it's happened
it was
before.
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Thing is, let's face it, if he was legitimately still hurt, he wouldn't be doing it. But they're just playing the hero card right now and stuff, which is brilliant. But there's no way, because I don't think WWE is dumb enough to let a guy that would literally, have his career end. They're not going to risk that now, especially with a guy like Seth Rollins, who can be money for them for years to come. If he ever, decides not to get broken every 30 seconds. But,
Yeah, it's like, he's fixed. There, he's broke again.
He's the Mark Henry of this era.
Wow.
Come on, Mark Henry's always broken. He's been in the WWE 20 years, and I'm guessing he spent 9 of them injured. If not more.
That is about true, though. It really is true.
That's about right.
Now, I saw something online earlier. I want to run by you guys. This is going to lead into the last bit of Raw here for the main event, but it is on a web page, and take it for what it's worth. Strictly rumor. It's called WrestlingRumors.net, so it's not necessarily it's been reported to be true yet.
Yeah.
But report WWE officials believe now is the time for the legend to retire. Of course, talking about the Undertaker. Now, if they do this, we've mentioned in the past, this will be Roman Reigns retiring the Undertaker, as what it would be. And if they think that fans don't like him very much now, if he goes and does this, and they put him as the one to retire the Undertaker, they're probably going to just riot in Orlando, in downtown Orlando for sure at this point. I don't know. I don't know how the fans will take to it, but we're saying here, basically, let's find it here again. According to PW Insider, there's some talk within WWE that the Undertaker won't wrestle again following this. Report also claimed that the WWE legend was not in the best mood during last week's Raw show because he was in so much pain. And that's been the thing with him throughout this year. He's been in a lot of pain throughout this year, often they said, due to his previous years of wrestling in ring and stuff he's done. So I don't know how much pain he actually showed he was experiencing this past Monday night. He does a good job of hiding that from the fans, I think. And a lot of fans think that, oh, no, he's in great shape right now. He's in some of the best shape he's been in a while. But if you've seen the last 2 WrestleManias, it seems like he's hardly not hardly made it through the matches, but I mean, he looks like he's struggling at times to get up off the mat and do some things. So,
well, did you guys notice? Did you all notice that when he choke slammed Braun Strowman that he winced in pain afterwards?
I didn't quite catch it, but I don't doubt it because that's what they're talking about. They said he's been in so much pain, and that this past Monday night he was not in a great mood because of the bad pain he was in.
And think about it, the man is old. He's been beating up his body for close to 30 years now, and stuff. And it's not like Ric Flair, where the most dangerous thing he did in his career really was the Flair flop, and stuff. No, the Undertaker's come off the top of cages and done all kinds of crap that a guy his size shouldn't do.
And we would like to make a disclaimer here at Body Slam the Competition that the opinions of Tim that 52 is old does not necessarily reflect the opinions of Body Slam the Competition. However, 52 is old for a professional wrestler.
Yes, that's what I mean. For a professional wrestler, that is a very old person.
I hope so, because I'm only 9 years off from there, so I don't want to feel like I'm catching up to the old level to that quick just yet. So
now, wait a minute, Chris. Let's think about this.
It's like a 30, it's like a 30-year-old NFL running back. That's old. They're not an old person, but they're old by that standard. And especially with pro wrestling, I mean, their bodies, those people get beat up. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get injured. You're going to break things. It's going to happen.
But I will agree. I mean, I really don't want to see it be Roman Reigns, but at this point, I will take anybody to retire The Undertaker because it's time for him to go off into the sunset. I love The Undertaker. I have loved The Undertaker since I was a child. He has been bigger than life in that he's been the Phenom, except for that run where he was the American Badass, because that was just horrible.
I don't know. I thought he was still pretty much badass then,
But it ruined the mystique of The Undertaker.
I'll agree.
It did. It ruined it because from up until that point, even during the Ministry of Darkness stint, The Undertaker was just this all awesome thing. And now he's just old and sad.
But that was my favorite time with him. I hate this. I know y'all are gonna just shoot me down for this, I'm sure, but that was my favorite time with The Undertaker. When he made the return, the first night he came back, returned from that. The music everything from the music they chose for it to the video, yes, the Titantron setup, the music for it, they built up for it, the way he was portrayed of it. I mean, I liked it. I know it's not the same as the Dead Man, The Undertaker, but I mean, for whatever reason, I liked that version of it when he did it. It was something new, and I liked it a lot.
My favorite Undertaker was the Ministry of Darkness one. That was my favorite.
The storyline was good. Yeah, the storyline
was almost pure evil.
I think that even like his entrance music from that era, that it was so badass. I still have it on my phone, and I still play it to this day because it's badass.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you know you are a true professional wrestling nerd. Tim, that's why we love you here. Because you're still rocking the old Ministry of Darkness entrance music
on your phone.
On your phone.
Yeah, but
is it a flip phone?
It is a flip phone.
No, I have a Galaxy Note 5, but no, it's.
On a side note, how do you like your Galaxy Note 5? Because the wife has been considering upgrading her Note 3 to a Note 5.
I love it. The only issue I've had with it at all is that the every once in a while the stylus will pop out. Mine's actually broken right now because I didn't know it popped out and it snapped in, it snapped off, and it slid back in, so I can't get it out, but it still works. Yeah, the phone still works. That's the only issue I've had with it at all. You
should all come to the dark side.
Yeah.
Come to the dark side.
No, never go on iPhone.
iPhone.
You know what? I had the original iPhone, and It was okay. It was okay. And then we switched carriers, and like 5 minutes after we switched carriers, literally 5 minutes after my new phone started working, my iPhone bricked.
I had the 4, and I've got the iPhone 5 now, and I've not upgraded since iPhone 5. It's not broken, so I don't see no reason in changing it out. But
you know what? I am still rocking
5.
a Galaxy S4.
I
Hey,
had
if
the
it works.
S3 for years. My wife has the S5. You know, it works fine. She likes it. She wants to upgrade, but you know, I keep breaking my phone because I drop
if
it.
It works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hey
Yeah,
Tim,
exactly.
quit dropping your damn phone. Quit. I know what you're doing. You're playing that Ministry of Darkness Undertaker theme, and you're head banging, and you're getting into it, and then there it goes down the steps. Done.
Actually, the last time I broke it was Mother's Day last year. It was sitting on the table, and I dropped it, and it broke to pieces. I was like, "Shut up!" I cracked the screen. I was at work, you know, just sitting on the table, and it fell and broke. I was like, "Eh." But anyway, no, that is really my favorite theme song. Oh, by the way, Mike, it was my fuel pump. Another off-topic thing.
Ah.
It was. I replaced it on Wednesday.
I feel your pain there.
It sucked. Terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, Body Slam the competition is going to segue in a moment to car talk with Tim and Mike. So,
that's all. What?
How bad was that fuel pump?
Well, it actually wasn't that bad. The only problem I had was one connector I couldn't get off, and then after like 30 minutes of trying, it clicked to me that the new fuel pump had the hose and the connector on it, so I just cut the original hose, and then just broke the connector off after like a half hour. I felt like such an idiot.
So there's a great lesson there for our listeners. Don't be dumb like Tim.
Yeah. Hey, but other than that, it went in pretty easy, and it wasn't bad at all. It was
awesome,
pretty simple.
Awesome.
It took me like an hour and a half.
And you know, Tim, next year when I drive across country with the wife and kids, I'm coming there just to pester you.
That's fine. You're more than welcome to come out. You're more than welcome.
I wish you guys could have had my weekend with the car. We fixed my daughter's car. The one that's going to her. It's our car. It's going to her when she gets her license. But it's been sitting for a year and a half practically, not doing anything at all, just sitting there. So we replaced the battery. We replaced the alternator, the fuel pump. Because when we replaced the battery and the alternator, it still wouldn't start. Time to find out, it wasn't getting gas at all. Replaced the fuel pump as well. She got brakes on the front. Might need brakes in the back later, but not right now. It needs struts coming up on it. It's got to have a good tune-up. But I will say this. It is up and running finally. The car's been washed from all that grit and grime and tree sap that's been falling off on it. And now we just have to do the whole Florida tags thing where they welcome you to the state of Florida when you're tagging your car for the first time and pay the $400 for the tags. And we're good.
Yeah, but how much is it annually after that first time? How much? Yeah.
It's not that bad, Tim. I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's not bad after that. It's just that when you first move to the States, you definitely pay out the nose for it for sure.
It's the same way here, Chris. You've got to pay sales tax on the value of your car here, 5%.
I know. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it comes from either. It's whatever the value of the car is. We have to do the same thing here. You know,
I'm sure.
But you know what?
Shit.
But you know what, gentlemen? I also had a vehicle adventure this weekend. I drove 2.5 hours up and back for an engine.
But you didn't stop for the McDonald's pizza?
It was not. I didn't go that way. I did not go that way. I could have went that way, but then it would have been even longer because that's on the back roads. And you know, the back roads in West Virginia, it was like 100 miles if I went the back road and 144 miles if I went the interstate. But if I went the back road, it was also 40 minutes longer.
Because of the speed got that.
Well, no, it's because the road's not straight. It might only be 100 miles, but there's 300 miles of road.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I also hauled with me my 4, almost 5-year-old son and my 75-year-old paraplegic grandfather. So it was quite the road
that would
trip.
have to be fun.
It was quite the
That'd
road
be
trip.
fun. Yeah,
The guys not out.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we were gone for 5 hours. But
Easy.
hey,
Yeah.
I got my engine, and I really wish you lived closer now, Chris, because I'm going to need some help when it comes to wiring. I could
You're
use
the
a
car
computer
guy.
guy.
You are the car man, and
But
yourself
I'm not
and,
the computer
and
man.
Yourself and Chili Ray Phillips has made fun of me consistently because I cannot change a spark plug on a car, much less anything else. So I say patooey to you and your car problem. Patooey.
No, but
that's what I
you
say.
know, Chris Adams. If you lived down the road from me and you needed help with that Nissan, I'd have been down there getting greasy with
Don't
you.
be making fun of my Nissan, all right? My Nissan's been a good car.
That's what they call it over in the UK.
In all honesty, I'd come over and I'd help you fix it too. I really would.
No, Tim would point and laugh at you.
And I would help him fix it. I really would.
Yeah.
I would come keep you company if anything and pass tools to you. I'm good at passing tools on.
But I will definitely need your prayers and good vibes, Chris, because I'm going to start in on a adventure into standalone fuel injection, which is going to require me to do something like soldering wires and shit, things that I don't usually do because I'm usually like carburetor, Neanderthal technology, gas and
that's going to be fun.
Are you trying to say there's carburetor haters out there?
Yeah, it's called the state of California.
No.
What do we got over here? Smog.
No, in all honesty, there's laws here in California that say if you're a certain age, your vehicle's a certain age, then you don't have to smog it anymore. That's the laws here. So, and it's, I think actually, it's like 20 years old or something, which, I mean, let's face it, that's more than reasonable. So there, ha-ha.
I will say this now, Mike. You made a road trip to get an engine. Don't let that word leak out down Handsome Jimmy's way, because if he finds out that you went down the road that far to get an engine, but you can't come that far down the road to come visit the boogie camp of wrestling, then he might not be a happy camper.
Hey, now, I'm definitely going to go down to visit the boogie camp of wrestling.
Ooh,
it's on the agenda of things to do this year.
I'm just saying, just saying. Now that we got completely totally off track here, like we always do, with or without Tim's help. Where were we? Undertaker.
Undertaker.
Yeah, old Undertaker.
Monday night on Raw, when you have Roman Reigns against Braun Strowman, supposedly they're going to wrap up this little series they got. Lights go out. You hear the dong go off. Undertaker's in the middle of the ring in between both of them. Which one should he take out first, I guess he's thinking. Turns around, takes out Strowman, does a choke slam. And I didn't see it, but like Mike said, kind of winced in pain when he did it. Turns around, and for his troubles, he takes a spear, and he's down. Crowd went crazy booing. Boo! Roman Reigns getting over on Undertaker. Boo! Now, I had a conversation with a guy online just the other day. I know you guys know who Siebel is. Siebel. I'm sorry if he's listening. I'm sorry, dude. I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Are you like the only person that still talks to him?
No, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, dude. Siebel or Siebel. I don't know which one, but he is a friend on his page that was talking and he had tagged his friend to bring up the conversation of why or should Roman Reigns be fighting Undertaker, and his friend has a very strong opinion on this. That Roman Reigns should not even be in the same building, much less the same ring as The Undertaker, and should not get to be the one to retire him if he is going to retire this year. That match definitely should not go to him or John Cena, either one. He is amongst the believers out there that the WWE forces, of course, Reigns and Cena down our throats constantly, week in, week out. I have said before, I have nothing against either one of those wrestlers. I go with the flow when it comes to wrestling at this point. What else can you do but go with the flow and see how it turns out? But he's definitely very strongly against him being in that match and being the one to possibly retire The Undertaker. if this article that I found and read has got some truth to it, he could very well be the one that's going to retire The Undertaker and have that claim to fame in wrestling, pushing him forward a little bit more. The only way, like I told him, that I see this working out, and Mike, I've told you this before, as well as Tim and everybody else that's been on the show with us, the only way I see this working out, if he retires Undertaker, is if he takes it a step further and he looks like he hurts him in the process of retiring him. That's why he has to retire, because he went all heel-like on him and tore into him. And that be the heel turn for him and make him more of what a heel, what the fans think he is already when they boo him anyway. That's the only way it's going to work if they do it, I think, because there's no way the fans are going to cheer for him, especially now if he beats The Undertaker, because they love The Undertaker and they hate him already.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that he will be The Undertaker's last match, and I think he's going to, whether he beats him or not. Either way, they need to take advantage of this and grab the bull by the horns and just make Roman Reigns a heel. Everybody wants it, and I honestly think it will make him better. I think he will be much more accepted by the fans and everything else if they just pull the ripcord on him being the face. Just let him be a heel. You know, find somebody to talk for him. Let him sit there, flex his big muscles, and punch people in the face. That's what he needs to do.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. I think that Taker should still win the match, and I think that it should be a frustration moment at the end where Roman goes off, goes heel, gets a foreign object, whether it be a chair, a pipe, a stick, a sack of marshmallows, whatever it would be, and beats The Undertaker. Well, I mean, come on. He can punch somebody with a Superman punch. And
800 times, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much splitting the atom and cutting through space-time with a Superman punch. He would kill somebody with a sack of marshmallows.
Honestly, I'm give you guys an example.
I'm not gonna lie.
I
like the Superman punch. I just think it's overused by him. I think it's a cool looking move. I like it, but I think it's just way overused.
It's a cool looking move, but it shouldn't be knocking chairs down and being a one. It should be a signature move. It shouldn't be definitely what it is. It's like you know, it's like the phenomenal forearm. The phenomenal forearm is a cool fucking move.
Hell yeah.
But AJ Styles doesn't do it every 5 seconds, and he's not knocking chairs out. The Styles Clash is his finisher, and the Cast Crusher is his finisher. It's a signature move, but he's not, this arming 4 gunmen with it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I agree. Again, it's make Roman look strong. That's like literally the theme of the last how many years? Make Roman look strong. Make
Roman look ridiculous.
Even back in the Shield days, it was all a push for Roman.
Yep.
Let's face it. The entire time, because they put him in there with 2 guys that are much more talented than him in every way, shape, and form, and carried him in a lot of ways, and then they decided to push him.
Now, with you guys saying about make Roman look strong, we know it's been quoted in the past from CM Punk, where he said they told him backstage, you're going to go over on the Shield, but we know you got to make Roman look strong. Now, we know it's been said 1,000 times over about it. Let me ask you guys this, though. In the past, people complain today about how Roman Reigns basically he no-sells things. They say John Cena no-sells things. And that's why they don't like them. They do their own agenda. They no-sell things, and they go, and they're going to be the ones that go over on top. What about back in the day when Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker really no-sold people and stuff? Like, The Undertaker, you could hit him with a Mack truck, and he would just sit up all of a sudden seconds later and look at you after you done it. Like, I know it's his persona, the dead man. You can't really hurt him, I guess. But what about Hulk Hogan at the same time? Hulk Hogan at the same time would take some beatdowns and a minute later get up and no-sell it and just punch people and clothesline them and put the boot to him and drop his big fat leg on him, and there we go.
When he would Hulk out, there would be a change. There would be a change. He'd start doing the shaking and the point the finger. Like you got like.
But even before that, though. But even before that, there would be matches at times where he didn't even have that part during the match where they would hit him with something big, and he would just no-sell it and turn around and go straight up. The Road Warriors were notorious for no-selling people, no-selling chair shots, you know.
Or Hawk and his famous no-selling a pile driver, you know.
Yes, yes.
Pile driving, and he'd just stand up, you know, yeah.
Exactly, yes. So, I mean, you didn't hear people complain back in the day about that. Why do you think they complain so hard now if Roman Reigns or John Cena no-sell something?
Because they don't like Roman Reigns. And they don't like John Cena, which honestly, I get the John Cena thing. I do. I get it. I'm not the biggest fan of the world of the guy, but the thing is, I mean, he's been a good hand. He's been there. He's been, you know, he has done everything they've ever asked him to do. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think that he deserves this kind of thing because he's done all this stuff for the company as well. You got to think, I honestly believe that, you know, he has put that company on his back, you know, for many years, or he used to, you know?
What do you guys think about John Cena being the one to induct Kurt Angle into the Hall of Fame this year?
Who else would do it? It's my only question. I can't think of anybody else.
The other co-host we got who's not here this week, Ray, says he thinks that Stone Cold would be the one to do it because I don't know where he read it at or heard it from. He was trying to tell me that he heard that Angle had said he wanted Stone Cold to be the one to induct him into the Hall of Fame. And it might be because of the big rivalry they had, possibly. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, when John Cena first came in, his first big match out there was against Kurt Angle, too. And Kurt Angle had nothing but praise for him at that point. So, I mean, it kind of leads you to believe that that's a good match, just like Stone Cold would have been a good match. So is this right here. I guess it's just a matter of what you want to see on who's going to do it and all. I don't know, but I mean, I just thought I'd bring that up while we were talking about it. I just remembered it hit me. He's the one doing it this year. Funny enough, also Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette is going to be back in the WWE, even just for one night, if anything, inducting the Rock and Roll Express into the Hall of Fame. I think that's great. I saw a tweet on his page, and someone asked him. They said they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe what was going on. Jim Cornette's going to be on a WWE screen on a stage once again. How long will it take him to open his mouth and commit a douchebag thing like he always does and ruin it? And he said, I think he's going to... Go ahead. He said, well, you won't find out from my Twitter page because you've just been blocked. So apparently he blocked the dude for putting it on there. But I don't know. I mean, I had heard him say in one of his podcasts that if he was asked to do something like that he would not say no because he wouldn't want to disrespect the guys, that he is a big believer in the Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express, that whole time frame and era they did. He would not get up there and make a butt of himself or anything like that. He wouldn't want to ruin the chances of, the Midnight Express getting their chance to get in. He said, I could care less if I ever make it in personally, but he would like to see someone like Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey get that recognition for all the hard work they did over the years. And with the Rock and Roll Express getting in, this would open the door for them. So
I agree. Honestly, I was going to say that. I was going to say that I don't think he's going to do anything foolish or stupid or disrespectful on this night because this night isn't about him. It's about these other guys, and I think that he's going to respect them enough to do the right thing,
That's what he said,
and
more or
short,
less.
Sweet. Yeah, and maybe short and sweet to the point, but I don't think he's going to do anything, stupid on this night.
I hope he gets up there and tells something funny on them. That's what I hope to hear. I like it when the people do that. When they get up there and they take their acceptance speech, or they're up there inducting the person and they say something funny about a true story that happened backstage or something, or in the ring with them, or
who would know more about those guys than him?
Exactly.
I just find it quite brave of the WWE to give the man a live microphone.
On any other platform, I would say the same.
Honestly, I think that he's going to be a professional because, let's face it, he's not stupid. He's a smart man. You know.
Yeah, and
so,
I mean, he's not going to ruin the chances of anybody that he wants to see get in that has close ties to him. He's not going to be the reason why they don't make it in. He's not going to be the person to get up there and take any glory from the Rock and Roll Express. He said that people were asking him, did he not think that him and the Midnight Express deserved to be in when he heard that news? And he said, well, that's another story for another day. This is not about us. This is about Ricky and Robert getting in, and I'm as happy as can be for them. No one deserves it more than them, he said. He said they put on great shows in the past. They were the greatest tag teams of all time. They are the epitome of tag team wrestling, yada, 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 all this other stuff he would say. And so he said, it's great. He said, I don't want to sound like I would be trying to take any kind of spotlight off of them. This is their moment. He said, I'm happy to be for them. So, and then leave it in, just left it at that, basically.
As he should have. As he will. And honestly, like I said, there's certain times that you do things, and I think that he's a smart enough man to understand that that's not one of those times. Because, like you said, he will. Basically, if he were to do something stupid, he would screw over his boys. In the long run.
Now, did we get all the names announced already for the Hall of Fame? I mean, it seemed like they were shorter this year on the list. Is what it feels like to me. I mean. Am I missing something, or is it the same amount they had last year?
It's Kurt Angle. It's the Rock and Roll Express. Who else?
DDP, Rick Rude, Beth Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. DDP, Rick Rude. That's it.
That's 5 people. I'm only counting 5 people here.
How many did they normally do?
They get the last year they had here I'll look it up real quick while y'all are talking about it. Then.
There's no celebrity inductee this year.
There's not. That's one that's missing.
Okay, who cares?
I don't care about it.
Really?
But I don't like it. But,
I hate it. It makes no sense. I understand, like if it was one of those guys that was always like part of them. What's his name? Oh, God. Bob Uecker did a lot of stuff with WWE back in the day. I get that. Even Donald Trump, I understand. He had a big, part in the early parts of WrestleMania and stuff with Trump Plaza and all that, and, WrestleMania 5 and I think 6, and all that stuff. And that's fine.
Well,
but yeah.
I might be looking bad here for a second. I guess I'm wrong. 2015, they had Macho Man, Rikishi, Alundra Blaze, Larry Zbyszko, Tatsumi Fujinami, and Kevin Nash. They had 6 that year.
Okay.
There was no celebrity in that year either, I guess, was there?
2016 was Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy.
But no. In 2016, you got Sting, The Godfather, The Big Boss Man, Jacqueline, and Stan Hansen.
They had the Freebirds.
That was in 14, I believe. Wasn't it?
14? No. I thought it was last year.
Yeah, the Freebirds were last year.
Oh, you know what? The Freebirds were last year because we did that show and had that stuff on there. I wonder why they're not listed in here then for the list of people from last year. See, this is crazy.
They were last year, though. Yeah.
Because you're looking at individuals. Tag teams are down with groups.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? There you go. I guess that's where I'm missing. That's probably where I'm missing right there. Yeah, but they were above that. They were in there.
And then Snoop Dogg was the
celebrity
last year.
Yeah, you're right. You are correct.
Should be maybe the worst spear in WWE history. You guys remember that?
What's that?
The Snoop Dogg spear or whatever it was when he tackled. That was like the worst.
Do you know what the worst celebrity inductee that I can remember is though?
I have mine.
Go with yours.
Drew Carey. For me, it was Mr. T.
Why? Because his speech was horrible.
Well, yeah, because Mr. T is all messed up. But Mr. T had a big part in rock and wrestling and that whole thing. And him and Roddy Piper legitimately wanted to punch each other in the face.
But you know what the best thing about that was? The best thing about Mr. T is that he took up so much time that I do believe it was Carlos Colon that got cut short.
Who cares?
And then Carlito comes out and says, well, in true WWE fashion, another Colon's career cut short or something like that. It was.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I was cracking up. He's like, Carlito, man, I wish he would pull his head out of his ass because, that's another one of those guys, good personality, good talker,
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess, as long as he's good at what he's doing.
So I don't know if you guys have heard the rest of them or not yet. We got Cena inducting Angle. We got Cornette inducting the Rock and Roll Express. For Teddy Long, JBL and Ron Simmons are going to be inducting Teddy Long into the Hall of Fame.
That makes sense.
We got Natalya inducting Beth Phoenix.
I knew that.
Who do you guys think is
Also
going to be doing DDP?
Oh, I've heard this one.
Oh, God, who is it?
I've heard it, so I'm not going to say.
I can't think of who it is.
Just take a guess at who you think it'd be, Tim. Tim, who do you think it should be?
Well, it should be somebody like Sting or somebody like that. Maybe Kevin Nash or Scott Hall or somebody that he was actually involved with, Ric Flair. How about him? But it won't be. No, it's going to be somebody like Triple H.
Nope.
Who?
Think former general manager. Think former opposition to Vince McMahon.
Are you talking about Eric Bischoff?
Eric Bischoff.
I think that's a good one, actually.
Eric Bischoff, he's the one.
That's good. That's good, actually. I think that's a good choice. And Bischoff knows it. Bischoff will also not, he'll do it the right way and stuff, and he's not going to ruin the moment for DDP. Imagine if DDP had wrestled when he was younger. Ken got started when he was almost 40?
35. He was 35.
Yeah. When he first got into WCW?
Yeah.
Which is really old. Which is really old to get started in pro wrestling. That's
yes,
the guy's prime.
And to make it to a world title.
Yeah, multiple
Not only
world
start,
titles.
but win multiple world championships.
Oh no, he was. Honestly, he was somebody that I didn't appreciate until I looked at it from that perspective. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was like, he was okay. Nothing special. And I realized that he got started super late, and he accomplished everything imaginable, and he deserved every minute of it. And now with what he's doing with his life, that just makes it that much greater.
Oh, I agree.
A moment ago we left out Teddy Long as being the sixth person inducted this year. There's 6 people, not 5. I don't know how we left Teddy Long. That's crazy. How do we forget that?
Put the bottle down, playa.
There is a list of people that's being listed also. People from the earlier days that are, of course, dead, not around to be able to be there to receive their stuff, or people there to and receive it for them, or I guess maybe they're just not big enough to get the recognition for WWE to make money off of them. I don't remember any huge names, I don't believe, being on that list, so I'm not going to look them back up again. It was a decent, about 4 or 5 more people, I believe, for that wing. But moving on, we got 36 minutes left here. We got,
As contributors?
They were just former people, the first year they did, who did they do? Mike, the first year they did, not the very first year, but the first year they introduced this wing to the Hall of Fame. They did
Lou Thez and George Hackenschmidt and Frank Gotch.
Yeah.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, guys that really actually deserve Hall of Fame.
It's people like that they get another 4 or 5 people like that they're adding to that wing this year, but I don't know any of the names whatsoever they mentioned or anything. Nothing stood out to me, I don't think, if I remember correctly. So,
because most of those guys that really deserve to already be there.
But so we got 35 minutes left, so moving forward a little bit, I just want to mention one thing about Impact Wrestling this week, and that it was no impact to it whatsoever. They had no leading up to it, and I'm hoping nothing but good things for them right now to build something up out of this. but nothing really came out of it. They had some kind of a mysterious woman who's making her way back to the show, and it turns out to be Karen Jarrett. All right, so hopefully they're not going to go through that stuff again where they put their names out there in front of everybody else like they did before. Cody Rhodes next week will face Moose for the GWF Grand Championship title, and next week they will crown a tag team title, a new tag team champion, they said. And that's all for that. There was another thing mentioned about WWF in negotiations again about purchasing the Ring of Honor. Not just the tape library either. Purchasing the Ring of Honor itself, the company. So they would then in turn have a lot of these people that have ducked them over the years and turned down contracts. They would have them under contract now at that point. Ring of Honor, but here's the thing though. It sounded like that the Ring of Honor, even though they would buy them, would still kind of stay separate, and the Ring of Honor show would be on the network, along with some other smaller. I believe. What was the other small-time independents? Ignite? No, not Ignite. That was the lady we're going to show here soon. I can't think of the name of the show. It's a name. Anyway. A couple of other smaller independent companies would have their stuff on the network as well each week to get their names out there and stuff. So I don't know if there's some of the higher-end companies or what they may be, but there's talk of that as well. I always thought getting the library made sense for them to get the Ring of Honor library, and there was talks of that, but nothing ever came out of it for sure.
Oh man, no, them getting the Ring of Honor library. Do you know how happy I would be being able to see like basically the entire WWE roster back in the day?
Well, and they're talking about people like AJ Styles and Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins having DVDs coming out about them soon. And it would make sense to have access to that film library because they had some great matches during that time.
Yeah, against each other.
So, but anyway, SmackDown Live, it wasn't it was a good show. I like SmackDown. I like the way they do things. I don't know if this was to be considered a great episode or not. I thought it was good. AJ Styles and Shane go at it at the end of the show practically, where Shane calls him out. And of course, JBL played dumb for a second to ask Shane, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" As he climbs the top rope, no, he's going to drop the elbow on the announce table across AJ Styles. We knew that was coming anyway. So they're building up their match. You've got the Usos actually won the tag belts on SmackDown. I thought that would happen probably at WrestleMania. But no, it happened there on SmackDown itself, which maybe they're overdue for it after their heel turn. Maybe they should have been kind of overdue for a while. American Alpha's had those belts for a pretty good while now.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the American Alpha were hurt or something. That's why possible. They did that on SmackDown. It's very possible.
But that SmackDown tag team division, like you said, is very weak anyway. So
yeah, it's so thin. They need more depth.
The thing is, you don't do a major title change. And yes, the tag team titles on the show is a major title change, like a week before the biggest event of the year. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'm thinking somebody got hurt. That's the only thing I can think.
Could be. Well, you've heard the rumors and the rumblings and the grumblings, though, that a certain set of brothers from North Carolina are heading to the WWE.
Oh, really?
I heard that they are. I heard that they are going to stay with Ring of Honor for a while. That was what I just heard recently, because they just won the Ring of Honor tag titles. And
will that matter?
But they're going to be at Ring of Honor for the next 3 months at least. That is a report. Yeah. Now, if the WWE and them do reach an agreement where they buy them out, it don't matter anyway. But they could have a thing where the Hardys will make an appearance at WrestleMania.
Oh, I don't really.
Whether it be live or on the Titantron, however it goes, there might be an appearance. Because they had that whole thing where Matt Hardy made his appearance on the Ring of Honor big screen at that point, challenging the Young Bucks back in that time before they did all their thing with them.
Did you guys see that Impact is trying to trademark the Broken Matt Hardy thing?
Yes, they already have. They got copyright all over it. Everything it shows, they get the copyright thing on there. They're trying to do it.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's not legal. It's just them trying to do it. as far as everything I've seen, it's like it's not actually they don't actually own the rights to it. They just,
And you got Reby
for whatever
Hardy
reason,
going
think
off like
they do.
crazy.
What's that?
You got Reby. I got Reby. Is that her name? Reby Hardy, Reby Sky, something like that.
Reby.
Reby.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's going crazy on Twitter. But the whole thing.
Fine as hell.
You know, Reby. It's Reby, like Reby, only r.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reby.
Reby.
I think Tim's telling us that he wants Reby to rub him.
It's
very much so. Not gonna
It
lie.
is possible.
Have either of you ever seen the wonderfully produced independent film Wrestlers versus Zombies?
What's that?
No, I can honestly say no, I have not.
What's it called?
It's called Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies.
I have not, but I am going to have to see that now. Because that's going to be a match that I want to see.
It is quite the movie.
Quite the worst movie you've ever seen?
Well, I wouldn't say it's the worst movie I've ever seen. But
because you've seen Geely?
It's up there. It's up there. But I will say this. The lead is played by Roddy Piper.
Oh, my God.
One of those.
Okay, how old is this movie?
It is not old. It is not that. I think it was like right before he passed away.
Okay, wow. I didn't know he was still doing the movie.
Oh, boy.
Wow. No, I watched it just for that. Because...
It's got Shane Douglas in it.
Okay.
It's got, let me see here. Yes, 2014, Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. Let me pull this up here. It's got a whole 2 whopping stars on IMDb.
Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
Roddy Piper, Jim Duggan, Matt Hardy, Reby Sky, Shane Douglas, Adrian Fisher, Taya Parker, Shannon Hart, Ashton Amherst, let's see here, Thomas Rodman, Kurt Angle, let's see.
Was this thing produced by Impact?
Wow.
This is just awful.
I think that's all of the big names. Now, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think basically what happened was it starts off, you have Shane Douglas in the ring fighting this guy, and this guy's done something against him, so he botches a pile driver on purpose and breaks the guy's neck.
Okay.
Guy dies, turns into a zombie. Then the zombie apocalypse sort of thing starts happening, and they all wind up at, I do believe it's Moundsville Penitentiary in West Virginia. It was actually filmed in West Virginia, part of it. And my favorite part of the entire movie is when Kurt Angle shows up to you, thinking that he's going to this penitentiary to do a wrestling show, and there's all these zombies. He slams on these zombies, and he goes, "Pittsburghers know how to kill zombies."
So you're saying that the script was something to be reckoned with as well here.
You know, it was a wonderful.
Pittsburghers knowing how to kill zombies is actually a really slick kind of meta moment, though. You know, because that's And
I want to tell you right now, Roddy Piper has a really great love story here. It's better than Twilight.
Oh, God, well, anything's better than Twilight, so that doesn't count.
But honestly, this is probably some of the best acting that I've ever seen Piper do. And it's just because he has to play himself. And all he has to do is chase a woman. So it was like second nature to him. It's like putting Jerry the King Lawler in a titty bar.
Pretty much.
Giving him $5,000 worth of ones and watch the magic happen.
Yeah. Did you see something about him? Jerry Lawler being on their no-call list.
No.
Yeah, it was on the. I saw something about that on like Twitter last week. He's saying that WWE put him on their no-call list. I was like, whoa.
Oh, and
Some friends of mine are doing a wrestling podcast.
You'll be happy to know, Tim, that you can see Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies on YouTube for $2.99, iTunes for $2.99, Amazon Video for $2.99, and Google Play Movies and TV for $2.99.
Well, I'm not going to pay for even $2.99 for that.
I think I'll wait.
It's worth the $2.99.
I'll wait for the DVD release.
it's worth the $2.99.
We'll wait for Redbox.
I'll take your word for it.
That's what we'll do.
Wait for it to hit Blockbuster.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I just found the list. I was completely wrong here. There is a couple of people who's worth noting, I guess. The Legacy Hall, the Hall of Fame Legacy wing here. Dr. Jerry Graham, Haystacks Calhoun. Oh, that's one name that sticks out for sure, Haystacks Calhoun. Luther Lindsay, Rico Dozan, June Byers, Judy Grable, Farmer Burns, and Toots Mont are the names that are being inducted this year.
Well, Toots Mont's very important to the wrestling back in the day. He was one of the guys that helped the WWF get started up back in the day. He was a big person in the territories, so that's actually a pretty important name in wrestling. Surprised it's taken this long to do it.
I did not know that name. That was above me there. I did not know that one. Rico Dozan, I know that. I recognize that name from Japan, I believe.
Yeah.
As one of the ones that
should have been in there. He is really he's critical for like the territorial days and stuff. He really was. He was really important.
Yeah, didn't he help McMahon's granddad?
Oh, his dad, yeah.
I thought it was his grandfather. I thought it was.
No, it was his dad. His dad started the company, and then Vince got him.
Well, his dad started the WWF, but wasn't his father like a boxing promoter? And didn't he start the Capital Wrestling Corporation with Toots?
Yeah,
so
he did.
It was Vince's father's father.
I thought it was Vince's father that did it. I thought Vince's father was the one that started the Capital Wrestling thing. But
yeah, Vince's.
Either way,
Vince's dad's dad. I think his name was Jess. Was it Jesse or Jess? I can't remember.
I don't know, but yeah, I know Toots is very important to that particular the founding of the WWE. He had a big part in that. So.
And with a name like Toots, it has to be good.
Well, he was actually a wrestler when he was younger and stuff. He was one of those territorial guys, these traveling circus guys, too. And he was somebody that you didn't mess with. You know what I mean?
You don't fuck with Toots.
No, you don't. Well, with a nickname like Toots, you pretty much have to be a badass.
I mean, yeah. It's like that question floating around. Have you guys seen the question floating around on Facebook? You're in the middle of a bar fight and you have three wrestlers. You pick three wrestlers. One of them has to be a woman to help you win. So, who do you pick? Well, Ming.
Haku.
Ming, Haku. You don't need anybody else, really. I mean, anybody else you bring with you is just along for the ride. Yeah. So, and I'm like, well, I'm bringing Ming and I'm bringing Vader. And they're like, well, what about the woman? I'm like, well, I'm going to bring Jazz. And then they're like,
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, Jazz. I'm like, that's right. Christopher?
I'm sorry. You want my pick of who I would bring? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
Because,
yeah.
Well, Ming right off the bat for sure. That's all you got to have is Ming. I mean, why not Ming? That he take care of everybody in front of you. I mean, you don't even need Vader to come with you at that point. But if we're gonna throw some people out there, we'll go ahead and we'll take Ming. We'll take. I'll go one different from Vader, and I'll go with another rough, tough person from that same era. I'll go with Stan Hansen. And then as far as what woman you're taking there? Oh wow, I don't know. You could go different ways with this. You can take the muscle bound ones and say they can help extra muscle, or you take one of them that they just had there for eye candy only and put them there as a distraction, so you can knock people out when they distract them. I mean, it works both ways.
That's very true. But you know what, Chris? I had considered Stan Hansen, but everybody says that his eyesight's bad, so he might wind up knocking the shit out of you instead of the other guy.
Oh, that would be bad. But we're talking about him in his good days, though. Not right now. That's what we're talking.
Well,
I mean,
that was in his good days.
Yeah, he was always blind.
That's what they said. That's why he knocked Vader's eye out, because he couldn't see what the hell he was doing.
Oh, I got to bring it up. You guys were talking about the movie a moment ago. Of all one of the greatest videos I've seen come out in a while was done just this past Tuesday night, starring
to both of you multiple times.
Who should have been John Cena and Nikki Bella, supposedly. The Miz and Maurice making fun of them, the Total Bella show, I guess. So
that was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was
hilarious.
Funny stuff. And he kept looking like he was going to pop the question to her, but he's not. It's always something different and funny. John Cena, rule number 1 of the household. Crazy stuff they have with that. That's been, as far as them having this match at WrestleMania, I don't know how the match is going to turn out itself, but the lead up to it's been gold when it comes to the Miz part at least.
There.
I mean, Miz does a damn good John Cena impression too.
Did you see whenever they come out, they played his music and everything? It's like supposed to be the Bellas sitting there talking, and all of a sudden you hear at the door, and his name is John Cena. Only it wasn't quite that. Just his music coming out, and he comes out and does the whole bit, like the "You Can't See Me" bit, pointing at the never give up thing. Crazy stuff.
It was good stuff. It was good stuff.
I'll be glad to see it. I will be glad to see that one get over with. What they did this past Tuesday night with John Cena and Nikki Bella against Fandango, and who did Tyler Breeze tick off?
Oh, I don't know, but he's paying for it this week.
Who did he tick off that they made him dress up like Nikki Bella and come out there and get beat by Nikki Bella pretty bad?
It's not even in my ear.
I didn't quite get it. It's crazy stuff.
I have no clue, but it was quite appalling to see him dressed up like that. It was like, it's like, what? Are you going to the French Riviera to do? Are those Speedos or? Oh, I'm sorry, Tyler Breeze.
Oh, it just looks stupid. It was. I'm glad the match got over pretty quickly. That didn't last long at all. And then of course they had the thing leading up to the Divas bit, where it's a big free for all. And then of course they got one more person that's probably not announced is going to be there. I imagine they're like you guys said before, they're going to have Naomi come back at WrestleMania, and probably take that belt back at WrestleMania at that point.
Probably so.
I don't think she was meant to lose it to begin with. It's just that the whole injury thing. But you know what? They tend to play that injury rule thing only when they want to. You know, I don't get why they do that and pull it out like that. That was kind of crazy for it. I mean, they should have had where she couldn't defend it in 30 days. Great. Well, you know, Jericho technically hadn't defended his belt in 30 days, the U.S. champion, but he still has the U.S. belt. He hadn't given it up or anything, you know, before WrestleMania. They said he defended at a house show, but it was, you know, like it's a 32 or 34-day mark of his 30-day rule that he had going on. So I don't know what they're doing with that.
I have no clue. Well, you know, and then you had those periods where Lesnar was the champion, and he would go away for 2 months and come back, and, you know, that didn't matter either. So it's that they pick and they choose, and it is what it is.
Well, but the best part of they had it was, I think, Becky Lynch versus Carmella. That was due to the last week where Carmella had come up and you know, kind of kicked her in the face, knocked her out, and then kicked Natalya in the face and knocked her out as well. Natalya was at ringside doing the commentary. The match never officially got well underway before Natalya jumped up in there and caused the bell to get rang, I guess, in disqualification because she jumped on Carmella and started beating her up. Next thing you know, the ring starts filling up with all the participants, basically, of the match this week. But, as I fully expected to have happen, and hope that happens again at WrestleMania, who was standing tall at the end of the match with the belt in the air? That's right.
Who?
Miss Bliss. Miss Bliss.
That's right.
Little Miss Bliss.
My wife's favorite wife's favorite female wrestler.
She is probably sitting over there right now across from you, just grinning from ear to ear, thinking about Alexa Bliss and how much she likes her as a wrestler. Says, my best friend, Miss Bliss.
Yeah, woman.
Hopefully I'm not getting... Say again?
I don't really think that would ever happen.
Look, it will not allow me to sin.
Say what? Mike?
I don't know. I think Tim is having some technical difficulties.
Tim is having some technical difficulties. Well, what were you saying, though, Mike?
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by. I was saying I don't think that will ever happen with my wife because she really doesn't think that Alexa is very awesome.
Well, not everybody thinks that. I mean, they can't help it. What's going on and everything. It's in it. I think she knows somewhere deep down the back of her mind that Alexa Bliss is just top notch when it comes to the female wrestlers there in SmackDown. And
I don't know. I think my wife has expressed her deep dark desires to.
You know what? I don't want to be the one to say this, but I think I saw her put on Facebook the other day that she wants the Alexa Bliss hairdo. With the blonde look with the ponytails and the different colored ends on them and everything, like the Harley Quinn kind of look deal thing. I know I shouldn't be saying that for the whole world to hear, but I do believe I saw that fly across Facebook.
Chris, you better hope she never listens to this podcast.
Oh, what's the worst that can happen? I get like a dirty look from 100 miles away.
No, she might drive to your house and leave a flaming bag of dog poo on your front porch.
That's a long trip just to do something like that. I'm not
You
worried
don't
at
know
all.
my wife.
I am not worried at all over something so small as that, Alexa Bliss. Okay, so here we go. What was left over there? I guess the show kind of wound its way out like I started the show off, basically. It didn't really start off with AJ Styles and Shane like I mentioned first. That was the ending of the show. AJ Styles came out and talked real tough at the beginning of it, but at the end of it, when Shane called him out, it's like he was kind of playing a different tune there for a little bit. Like he didn't want to have the match.
This week's SmackDown was not on par with the SmackDowns of the past.
Not really.
It was really very bland and very slow, and I don't know. I don't know if it's that or if it's that I'm just not looking forward to seeing AJ Styles versus Shane O'Mac. Shane McMahon is a great personality, but he's not a great wrestler. He's not even a wrestler. And it's been years since he's half wrestled on a regular basis. And it just seems like a great, big, gigantic waste of AJ Styles. It
does, in a way. I mean, I would much rather see him face somebody else than to face Shane McMahon. I mean, they built it up nicely as to why they would have the match, but there had to be somebody else out there you could have built up a storyline for him on to have him in that match against. And it's really, I know from your perspective, it's sad to hear me say this, because you're not a big fan of him, and if Chuck were here, he'd say the same thing. He hates him. But the highlight of the night for me was Baron Corbin against Randy Orton and the match that they had. I mean, that seemed to be the best part of the night. And then at the end of that match, whenever it was over with, you had Ambrose come out there on a forklift, standing on the forks, distracting Corbin from a distance and having him walk right into an RKO for the loss. Then comes down there and puts the dirty deeds on him and accepts his challenge for the Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. Before all that happened, that match was not a bad match at all. And I know a lot of people don't like Corbin, but I mean, I can't help but see him as on the rise still. I mean, he had a great match with Randy Orton, and that just kind of helps I bet you he comes away with the Intercontinental title belt at WrestleMania.
Very well could. Very well could.
I don't see any way you can't do that. I mean, if you don't bring him back from that with that title, what you've been doing with him so far in the last couple of months to me is just pointless. You had him the way you had him look the whole time from his time coming up from NXT to winning that Andre the Giant Battle Royal tournament to doing this to having his series of matches with Kalisto, even though I wasn't a big fan of it. The chairs match was a good match that they had. Going on to this now, it's time for him to take that next step up to the Intercontinental Championship and see how well he can run with that. If he shows he can be a champion and run with it, and as a heel pull the right kind of heat and make people hate him for it and everything, he's on the right track for sure. And he might be destined for bigger and better things down the road. But they got to do something with him. I'd hate to see all that time spent on him as a push just go to a waste. And who else would you put there at that point? You know what? Let's say he wins the title and he comes back. Will he go back and forth with Dean Ambrose again for a while longer, or will he put somebody else in a feud with him for that title and kind of put Ambrose in a different situation?
Well, it's like, what do you do with Ambrose at that point, though? I mean, Ambrose is better than where he's at now. I mean, that's just my opinion.
We also don't know if Ambrose will stay on SmackDown after WrestleMania, do we?
No, we don't.
That could be something else. Maybe Ambrose gets moved over, back over to Raw again, and somebody takes his place over there. I mean, they could be one of the shakeups involved. They're talking about to get some fresh storylines and everything. It's a good possibility.
They need
so many different. So many different things could happen. Could you see him going over there and having a feud with Kevin Owens, or even Samoa Joe? Him going over.
The thing about it is Samoa Joe. That's another thing. I know why he's on Raw, but he really should be on SmackDown. There's just so much going on Monday Night Raw right now. I don't know. And honestly, I'm getting kind of annoyed with the direction that they're taking Samoa Joe. It's almost like they're trying to make him. I know he's always been Taz-like in the way he has been promoted everywhere, but it's like here now in the WWE, it's even more like Taz 2.0. He's, and I'm a Joe fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Samoa Joe fan, but I just don't see him as being intimidating as the Destroyer. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, he's good, he's talented, but as far as for people to be afraid of him, I don't get it. You know what I mean?
I completely get it. I mean, you could take someone, as far as Raw goes right now, him and Cesaro could make a great series of matches. Cesaro stands up tall against him. Sheamus can stand up tall against him. Roman Reigns stands up tall against him, and everybody else in the world, I guess. You can't keep putting people with the likes of Sami Zayn against him. Chris Jericho could do good with him. Chris Jericho's big enough for it. You could even take, if they weren't on the same team, Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe and finish off what they started in NXT. But I get what they're doing with him as far as how they're doing it. Triple H is building something around him there that he wants to make as a kind of a new stable kind of deal, I guess. You got Kevin Owens, you got Samoa Joe. Like me and Ray talked about before, we think they're going to bring up somebody else. Maybe they'll bring a tag team. Maybe they'll bring more individuals. Who knows? You never can tell. But they're building something there to kind of help be the big new heel force, I guess, of the show. Just like you would see Triple H with Randy Orton and Ric Flair and Batista. Something like that to build that up. And then, of course, that leaves plenty of opportunity for other people on the roster to feud with him at that point. You could potentially make a thing with the club if they do Finn Balor coming back as a Balor club, or AJ Styles going over there and them becoming face with AJ Styles and running up against that group right there, just like the Shield did or something. They're never going to put the Shield back together. For the first person that says Shield should be formed again to go against them, I'm going to shoot them. You can't. You just said that ship is long since sailed. That's not going to happen anymore. But there's other situations you can put up there against that would be very good to watch.
They could put it back together, but it would be completely different, not the same thing.
I just don't see how you would pull it off because, I mean, just first off, one third of your Shield's not even on the show. If they bring him back and you get all three of them on there, I guess they can potentially put that together in some form. But that means at that point, Roman Reigns is not a heel. He's babyface still. And we know how that's going to work out if that keeps going that way. So, I don't know.
It'll be whatever it is, I suppose, Chris. At this point, we have to wait to get through WrestleMania to see where any of this is going to go.
And that's the biggest thing. I keep telling people who complain to me on Facebook when we talk, people send me messages, people drop stuff on my wall. I'm like, look, you can't like everything they do every week. It's just not going to happen. They got 2 different shows to watch with Raw and SmackDown. Then you've got the NXT. Then you got 205 Live. You got plenty of things you can enjoy with them, or go to another company altogether, and you can watch Ring of Honor, or you can watch Impact, no matter how bad it was this past week, and try to go on with it from there. I mean, if anything, for anybody listening tonight who don't like the current product, what's going on, get the Fight app, follow our friend Herb Simmons, SICW, Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling, and watch them. 340 episodes deep in, you know they got something good to put out there if they've gone that far and still got a show going on the air. People like it for some very good reason. Watch them. There's plenty of options out there to watch.
If you're going to complain that you want to see the things the way they were and see that old school feel, take Chris's advice, because you won't be disappointed. They've got some really good guys. They've got some really, like you said, Chris, they've got a lot of known talent. They've been doing it for a long time. Wrestling at the Chase has been going on since 1959.
Well, Wrestling at the Chase that's not something that goes on today, but Wrestling at the They have the yearly show to remind you, the annual show every year about Wrestling at the Chase and everything. They have some great people come through there. Harley Race been through there. Ric Flair's been through there. Cowboy Bob Orton had been through there before. Terry Funk's been through there. Bruiser Brody's been through there. Dick the Bruiser, a lot of big names in the past has been through there wrestling and everything.
Indeed.
Now,
but if you want that kind of wrestling, if you want to see what made professional wrestling great, go check them out. Download the Fight app. Look up their website. Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling.org, SICW.org. Support your local indie guys. Don't sit there and just complain that the WWE has got something on TV that you don't want to watch. Get off your rear end. Spend the $10 or $15 it's going to cost you to get into the nearest indie show, and go have fun. Go back and remind yourself why you love professional wrestling.
Yes, and speaking of supporting your local indie guys, tomorrow night we have a second part of a 2-part series we did with independent wrestler Zach Monstar. So for those of you who listened to last week's show on Monday night, part 2 is coming up tomorrow night to go ahead and finish talking about his career and where he's at today and everything, including the company that he currently owns in Florida. It's Fort Myers, Florida, at least is where he calls home these days. And check that out as well. For that, Mike, 45 seconds left. I guess all I can say at this point is for everybody out there to go check us out at YouTube, bodyslamtocompetition.com, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, comment on the videos, like the videos, listen to some of the great interviews we've had in the past. We've got more coming up as well. Facebook, Instagram, and Mike, where's the place we love to hate?
That freaking Twitter, man.
Freaking Twitter. Body slam the comp.
Damn
At body slam
Twitter.
the comp on that freaking Twitter.
Tweet,
Man.
tweet, motherfucker.
Send us a tweet. Let us know you heard this. Exactly, so we can complain together.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Mike, we'll see you again next week. And catch
Till
you
the
guys
next
later.
week.
Goodbye.